In this episode, we are joined by Garland Fuller, an award-winning transformational leadership partner reimagining third spaces for women and workplaces. We go to the places that hold you when life is coming apart, the spots where you're not a job title or a role, you're a body and a heartbeat and a whole self finding its way back to you. If you've been moving through your days half numb, let this one slow down with you. This conversation is about reclaiming ourselves and true belonging. Keep listening. Hi there. Welcome to the Empowered and Embodied Show. I'm Kim Romain.
And I'm Louise Neil. We're two transformational coaches who are also fellow travelers on the path of growth and self-discovery. And we're inviting you along for the ride.
That's right. We're right here in the trenches with you, navigating the ups and downs of life. And each week we'll be sharing our own experiences, bringing you conversations with amazing guests, and exploring insights and strategies that have helped us find more clarity, confidence, and ease in our lives.
And trust us, we do not have it all figured out. We're learning and growing right alongside you.
So if you're ready to rise above the chaos, doubt, and confusion that sometimes life throws our way
and step into a more empowered and embodied version of yourself,
then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. I am one of your co-hosts, as always, Kim Romain, joined by the lovely and incomparable.
Incomparable. Ooh, I like that one today. That's me. I'm Louise. And we have a beautiful and divine guest today.
Thank you so much. Garland Fuller. I'm loving this. I'm here for the divine. Yes.
Right? Yeah. I felt that one to the core of me as well. Good stuff. Garland, we're so excited to have you here and have this conversation today. And I'm going to let the world know a little bit about you, and then we can just dive right into the conversation. Cool. All right. So Garland Fuller is an award-winning transformational leadership partner, helping workplaces recognize and celebrate unique gifts rather than enforce standardized expectations. Love that. She hosts the Reimagining Community podcast and the Community Impact Collective for Women, where they can leverage community engagement. Her mission is building workplaces where authentic expression drives both innovation and fulfillment. And I believe we might get into it a little bit today, but I know you mentioned something when you and I first talked that about a third space, how a third space changed your life and continues to reveal the importance of being curious and vulnerable. So I'm excited to talk about all of that today.
Yes, me too. Me too. Yes.
I know what this term means, but what is a third space?
Yeah. So third space started, back in the late 70s. This author, Ray Oldenburg, came up with this idea of a third space, not your home, not your work. He typically classified it as like libraries, parks, cafes, bars, like places that people meet up. I think more like a watering hole, like a place like where you congregate. I've expanded that to be a bit more because we're now in 2025 and there's so many things that you can do and so many places physically and digitally that you can go and now create a sense of community that's not home, that's not work. For me, the parts of that are key are connection, representation. There's a shared understanding, a shared something that you have with a group of people. I find that growth, transformation, like you're learning how to do something, you're figuring out how to do something for the first time. There's something that's pushing you a little bit. There's a little bit of like, this is uncomfortable. I'm a little uncomfortable, but I showed up. I signed up for this. I said I wanted to be here. And then the fourth part for me is like belonging. Like you got to feel like you're there. You want to be there. You enjoy, you look forward to going there. It's something that just draws you in. That can look like a community garden. That can look like a chess club. That can look like a house of worship that you may go to regularly in order to get connected to your higher self or the divine. That can also look like silent book clubs Those are popping up everywhere. People just want to read together. They don't want to talk about the book. They don't want to have a whole thing about the book. They just want to sit next to each other and everybody read. And so it's really cool because I feel like so many things are happening in this right now because we have all been very disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from each other, disconnected from, I think what's happening in the world. Sometimes you got to disconnect in order to keep your sanity. And so for me, third spaces are this new in terms of how you approach it, how you look at it as an opportunity to get engaged with a part of yourself that maybe you don't show to everybody. I know right now people's work, your identity, your title at work, who you say you are, what you do, that can become a thing. And then your roles at home, specifically women, like, we're mothers, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're aunts. We might be caregivers to other people in the home. The home has got a lot of stuff. And so sometimes you may need another space where you get to be nobody's mother or nobody's, whatever title, and you can become a new and you fills you up, gets you back into being who you are to the core so that you can show up to these other places not feeling depleted.
There seems to be a different kind of energy to what you're talking about. Is that the space itself that has this energy, or the people in it?
Yeah. So I have an academy that I do, and for me, it's the three P's: the people, the place, but the programming. So the people is, you got to know who you want to show up, or sometimes you don't know. You're just more concerned with the programming, and whoever is attracted to that programming shows up because the program is enough. But for me, those are the three things. And I think what makes it different is there's an intentionality. There's a sense of why are we doing this? We're not just doing it to be doing it. We have a deeper reason. It's tied to our mission. It's tied to our values. It's tied to, what we want to see and amplify in the world. And so you're making an effort to build something, design, curate something that is meaningful. And we've all been to these places. I think everyone can name their favorite third space. If you the minute you just walk in there, you're like, this is my place. These are my people. I enjoy what they are putting together. I look forward to it. When their newsletter comes in my box, I'm like excited to see what they're doing. You just get excited about it. I mean, for myself, it started, I did capoeira in the middle of recovering from a divorce. I was in a low place in my life, marriage falling apart, had a 3-year-old at the time, and I took her every week to go because I knew she needed some physical activity. And watching her do it every week, I started to think, I think I need this in my life. I think I need to move my body and be a beginner at something and find strength in doing something. And the year I started, I feel like it totally changed my life because I realized, one, there's this warrior woman inside, she is fighting, but also there's an opportunity to do something that I never, I go to the gym. That would be my workout. But this is like a full body workout. It's like a dance martial art. You're learning how to move your body. You're on the floor. You're doing cartwheels. I never move my body like that. And so it was also Portuguese, learning a language because all of the moves are said in another language. So I just got into it, and they have what they call a batizado, which is like a graduation of sorts, or you get your first belt. Every martial art has a belting ceremony. And so within that, you get your belt, but they give you a name. They give you your capoeira name. And so mine's was alegria, which is like joy, happiness, which, given what I was going through at the time, I felt was a reclamation of self. Even though things are falling apart, even though this isn't what you planned or could predict, you were able to find the joy, find the new beginning, learn something about yourself, put yourself in a position to start over. And I feel like we're all going through things in our lives, and it's very easy to just kind of, stay in your corner or just, internalize it. But I think when you get out and you get out of your shell, you put yourself in a situation where you're learning something, you're tapping into something that either, shadow artists, all the people who love to do art, they used to do a lot of art when they were kids or when they were younger, and write and all of these things. And then, the big bad world comes and reminds you that imagination is maybe not an amazing thing to have, and you like forget it. But then you come back out and you realize, wow, like I do like to paint, I do like to draw, I do like to dance, I do like to, make movies, whatever your thing is. And so there's an opportunity to like get back into that. And I feel like COVID has been that thing for so many people, a collective grief, a collective reckoning, a collective kind of what is this world now? And so we need to get back out. We need to kind of get back out of our shells and reconnect with ourselves first and foremost, but reconnecting with others can sometimes be that thing for you. Sometimes it's too scary to look inside. So maybe you want to go and do something with somebody else, your walking buddy, your friend, somebody who you just like, oh, we like the same thing, and so we'll do the same thing together. I just feel like there's something about coming together with other people that strengthens your knowing, resolve, commitment to just trying new things, being able to show up.
What you're talking about is the heart of why we actually created this podcast. We wanted to be able to create a space, even though we're not always interacting with the listeners. Obviously, we're interacting with our guests and we're interacting with each other in a way that allows us to reclaim ourselves. Right? And those were the words that you even used, this reclamation of self, and how we step back into ourself through community and the importance of community. And community can be a simple dialogue between yourself and another person, or something much larger. How did you find, I mean, you talked about being with your daughter when she was in this movement. How did you find capoeira? How did you find that space for yourself?
Yeah. I passed, we drive by things every day, so many things. And I remember it from my college days because a friend had started doing it and was like, this is so great. And I just remember thinking, okay, file it away. That's something to consider in the future. But at the time I was in college and I had another, whole lot of other things to consider. But there was a studio within my neighborhood and I would drive by and I just thought, I wonder what's going on in there. And so I took my daughter, and because they had a Zumba class at the same time, I was doing Zumba in one class initially, and she was doing capoeira. Then there was a schedule change and a room change, and like it wasn't simultaneous. So I had to be there seeing her at the same time. And it was in seeing her, I thought, wow, this is pretty powerful. Like what they have these kids doing. And these were like kids between the ages of like 5 and like maybe 10, learning these movements. But then there's a whole drumming component. There's a call and response. There's also this ancestral, I feel like, wisdom that goes with capoeira, that is like the drum is like your heartbeat. And so there's something very like, it gets to the heart of you when you hear it, the music that they're playing while you are doing it. And I had visited Brazil in college, and there's something about how that country functions, like the people, how dance and movement is so embedded into, like, whether it's soccer, whether it's samba, whether it's capoeira, like it's just electric. And so when I was there, it just took me back to my time when I visited, and I thought, God, again, remembering who you are, right? Who am I? What do I like to do? What is it that, and so this brought me there, and I just thought, you got to try it. Like, just go. again, one class. And I was like, oh, this is different. And I like challenge, meaning like when something's hard, it doesn't scare me. It makes me want to like do it again so that I can try it again. And so when I started doing the movements, it was awkward. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to like, mirror and mimic the instructor. And then you start to get your rhythm to it. You start to get your flow to it. Like I'd say maybe a few months in, I thought, I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing a little better. At least I can understand the moves and how I'm supposed to respond in my body. And so it made it more like, I want to keep doing this. And after that, I was like, oh, this is pretty amazing. Now, keep in mind, I did not know anybody in that class. They did not know that I was going through a divorce. So I didn't have to explain anything to anybody. I was just a student, like everyone else is a student. Some of us had kids in class, the other capoeira classes. So the parents kind of started to get to know each other. And it just felt very amazing because at that time, I just felt like I needed something new. I needed something different. I was also kind of coming into myself in a new way. And it felt like this is how I was going to remember that I am a badass.
Well, and
Like,
remember who you are.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's so interesting because as you're telling that story, I could feel it. And it's that place of such deep embodiment, such deep connection to your body. Right? Because your body's wisdom was telling you follow this. It's okay. You're safe to experiment, to be a beginner, to learn. And when you feel that, when you can feel like you can let curiosity guide you and let yourself just continue moving forward with those steps, your body's wisdom gets stronger and louder and louder. And it
yes,
shows up in so many different places beyond the class that you're taking.
yes. And that's exactly what it is. I took that spirit of you can do hard things into everything else because I didn't feel like I was broken anymore. I don't know. I think it very much felt like, oh, well, you can do this. Like, you can do this. Like, this is difficult, but if you're doing this, like, how can you take this and bring this to other things in your life? And then what I learned later was like with neuroscience, with like when you are having something, you should move your body. Literally moving your body, whether you're doing, yoga, you're doing riding your bike, you're, jogging, you're walking, whatever, swimming, whatever your capacity thing, just by virtue of moving that energy, that stuck, that, low vibration, we're going to go there, out of your body, it increases your possibility thinking, your ability to think what is possible for me.
Yeah. That, as you're talking, Garland, I joined improv a while ago. And that's when you're talking about a third space, it's like, yeah, that's my third space. Like I did it. I was very scared to do it. I thought it would be something like, oh, I could use it in speaking or facilitating until I got there. And I was like, oh, this is so much more than just public speaking. This is actually trusting and understanding that your body has this deep wisdom that when you can trust it, like it just bypasses your brain altogether. You don't have to think your way through improv. You get to move your way through improv. And just by the movement of your body, all of a sudden your synapses and your neurons, everything, right, start to light up and you start to make these connections and things just happen. And we don't do that alone. Like as much as, I could be on stage and start moving my body, there's an energy that happens when we're doing this in community. It's like somehow we get to collect other people who are doing the same thing we're doing. We get to collect their energy or we get to touch it for a moment. I can't describe it but what you're talking about, I'm like, yeah. I feel that every time I go to class. I feel it. And it's amazing to like be sponge in that atmosphere and that environment and actually be able to like suck it up.
I feel like what you're both talking about is being present and being grounded, right?
Totally.
Because that's what we get to be when we can let go of that cognitive load. And we're letting go of that cognitive load when we're in community, when we are free to express ourselves, when we're following our body's wisdom. I mean, I know I physically moved to a different community, and I feel like this whole community feels like a third space to me because everywhere I go, I'm soaking in so much more and I'm feeling myself get more grounded and more present just by being in a brand new community. And it has that aliveness. And seeing my kiddo, my 15-year-old kiddo joined, before school started, joined a little theater troupe, and they did a 24-hour musical the last weekend of the summer. And they got their roles. They didn't even know what show it was. They found out the show, they got their roles on Thursday. Saturday and Sunday they rehearsed, and they launched 2 productions on Sunday night.
Wow.
And if you want to talk about being in a space where you suddenly, because I was like, so who did you meet? What did you do? And she's like, I don't remember any of their names, but I can tell you everybody in that space was queer and I felt accepted. And I'm like, oh, you got to the important stuff. Screw names. It was awesome.
The belonging. It's the belonging. Yep. I found my people. These are my people. We have the same interests, the same thing in common. We love. I mean, that is like a pressure cooker intense version, because these productions usually take so much longer. And so you really get to we got to just get to know each other and figure it out quickly. And that makes the connection even deeper because you're like, we're just learning together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it is improv on steroids because it was so intense watching them do the improv, the singing, the dancing, the blocking, the costumes, the scene change, like to do all of that while they're walking around with their scripts because they had, they're not off book in 2 days. And it was it was Mean Girls. It was a full production.
Oh my gosh.
It was fantastic though, because as a parent, I then felt part of it. Sitting there watching. Now, of course, I'm, theater is in my blood. So of course I felt it, but I immediately felt part of the community. I went and talked with the director and the art director and I felt pulled in and like I found a space to belong through my daughter. Not that I'm going to go hang out with them. Oh, that'd be cool. That's her space. And it invited us in to be a part of it for a little while, which was also so lovely. And I think that's something cool about these third spaces too, is we're not talking about pure exclusivity, right? Because I think that can people can think about, when I lived in Chicago, there were a lot of this, like the standard clubs were still around, and that's exclusive. It's this exclusive club. That's not what I think. I mean, I think it is a third space, but I don't think that's what we're talking about.
No, yeah. I mean, accessibility is huge. I feel like there is exclusive clubs, the country clubs, the Soho House, the whatever, the membership, you got to pay. It's the who's who. There are people that is what matters to them. As a result, they pay top dollar to be the only ones there. And that is another third space. I don't know how much connection, belonging, growth, and development. I mean, this is why those are key for me, because I am not saying that those can't happen in those spaces, but I don't gather that that's really the intentionality for those spaces to come together. I think accessibility is huge because intergenerational, cross-cultural, socioeconomic, like everyone can't afford all the time. And also that shouldn't be the barrier to entry, is that you can't afford. There's an arboretum here in my area, and for summers, teachers and students are free. Veterans, like they have specific people who can come to the arboretum. And I'm like, this is amazing because, I mean, don't get me started on forest bathing and green spaces as central nervous regulating systems, but essentially just walking in nature, being present with whatever is there, birds, the breeze, the beautiful flowers, the smells, that just automatically just puts you in a better headspace. And so if it's $20 to get in there and you don't have $20, you're missing out on that opportunity to be present for what nature can provide, which, I mean, Joni Mitchell, like, put the trees, put them in the tree museum. Now we have to pay to go and see them. Like, they just come out the ground. Like, why are we paying to have access to trees? But it's one of those situations for me. Accessibility is important because I don't know that some of this stuff, it's like free. It should be free or low cost, just to cover the cost of doing whatever it is.
Or sliding scale or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about the national parks and the programs that they have for all different groups, for seniors, for students, for veterans, for all sorts of people all the time. And they're continuing to look at ways to make it more accessible while also meeting their budget, because we do have budgetary restraints.
Yes.
We do need to pay for things and maintain things and whatever.
The rangers, the fire, all of that. It definitely, as I said, at least to cover and maintain the cost to keep it a place that people want to come to. But I specifically am talking about nature. Now, if you're talking about something else where there's a lot of resources being put in, you have employees, you have, groundskeepers, there's like whatever you need to do to manage and maintain this space, then it's going to cost what it's going to cost in order for that to happen. But I mean, I think about museums that are free and someone had to make an amazing donation to cover the cost of a free admission to a museum, but they also have these amazing collections that you don't get to see. So it's one of those things where I feel like there's a balance, but it's definitely accessibility. I think is important because everyone needs to have a space where they feel like they can create anew, learn something new, find a community of people that have a shared sense of belonging. It's huge.
How does it translate to workplaces? I know that, right? So I come from first the legal space and then the social impact space. Obviously, we're talking about in those spaces, we're talking about there's a whole lot of people without means that we attempt to support from those that do. And we look for ways to create equity where we're not being driven by those that have the money and the resources to support in a specific way, right? We want the freedom to be able to support in the way that needs to be done. How do we see that in more traditional workspaces and workplaces, like the work that you do? How do you help places kind of bring this in?
I mean, I find that it's either, I look at employee resource groups, which I think they were a huge part of the conversation in the past 5 years around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and finding spaces within organizations for inclusion. And so those I felt were a great kind of intra version of a third space, like creating a space within the workplace where people started to come together for a sense of connection, belonging, taking a leadership role, learning how to lead something, learning something new. And so those were there. I think philanthropic and community engagement events are huge in some organizations, whether it's donating for a drive, a canned food drive, a coat drive, all of these places that at the end of the year need resources and they ask organizations for that. I know there's also matching programs in organizations, and maybe there are third spaces that are on that list of organizations you can do a matching program with. And so that monetary, exchange might be something too. I also think there's something about offsite. I think there's something about leaving the workplace. You need to also do something somewhere else. I know a lot of organizations do leadership retreats, and you can do those in Las Vegas or you can do those in Sedona. You can do those in there's a variety of ways you can take an offsite retreat and make it a little more intentional and meaningful possibly than just let's do the most in 24 to 48 hours in a city that never sleeps. I love Las Vegas. I think it's amazing. I also know that that is not everyone's cup of tea. And so, depending on, again, your values, your mission, your vision, what you want intentionality into what you're doing, when you do an offsite, it might need to be not the typical places we do them. The team building, there's so many team building opportunities. I feel like the trust fall, we've all seen and heard about that, but there may be other ways to create trust, innovation, build a sense of togetherness with a team other than that type of activity. So it's looking at things a little bit differently, I think, with workplaces, because what we know right now, at least for me, what I know right now, working with the clients and the people that I work with, is that it's all about who your manager is. If your manager is all like, then you're having a certain type of work experience. But if you don't have a good relationship with your manager, it's another. And so that has sometimes nothing to do with the culture of the organization. It has to do with that interpersonal relationship. And so I think we need to get to a point where we're creating leaders who understand that they are tied to the organization's values and behavioral expectations. And that is the culture work that's kind of at the heart of what I love to do. But it's also, for me, what makes this transformation that we're going through. I'm going to be honest. I feel like women right now have a lot of opportunity to step up and step in. And I think some are, and I think some are hesitant. And so preparing women leaders is also very important to me, because I feel like we are the future, if I'm honest.
I don't think we're here to disagree with that.
Not one.
Yeah.
So Garland, why don't we all have these third spaces? Like, what are the challenges around it, and like, how can we talk differently about, like, we talked about accessibility, like, in the third space itself, but how do we bring it closer to ourselves, or what's a challenge that we're often having that prevents us from finding these spaces?
Yeah. I know with adults, it's very like, we are so in our heads about everything. We are so like the child, the inner child, the imaginative, fun, whatever side of ourselves that exists. If we don't consciously make an effort to like do things for that person, you can very much turn into routine, like, got to do this, do that, check box, go through the thing. And you can very easily forget that you have to play, you want to have fun, you want to try something new, because we just have so many responsibilities, adulting, right? And so it's very easy to just go through the motions. And what I do know is sometimes people are doing third place stuff, but their awareness and their intentionality when they show up to those spaces in order to really receive what is possible for them there, because they are so checkbox going through the routine. And so you may be going to something once a week, once a month, but are you really like present and enjoying it and like soaking it in? Because we are so moving through the things. And so for me, sometimes it's awareness. I have something I call curiosity walks, where I just want you to walk around curious, like you're 2 or 3 years old. I mean, if you've ever been around little kids and they like look or find something new, it's like they stop exactly what they're doing and they will pay attention to that for whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and they will lock in on it. And then it's like, and then they're off to do something else. I remember taking walks with my daughter, and she would be fascinated with snails. Every time we saw a snail, she would stop. And she would crouch down low and she'd look at it. And, they're moving so slow. They got the slime coming behind them. And she was just fascinated with snails. And I was like, interesting. And we're all like this. We all have things we're fascinated that spark something in us. And I think as we get older, we just lose we lose that, or we forget it, or we just, it becomes, oh, that's just this. The wonderment, the excitement, is the whimsy, is it's lost.
That just made me so sad. And I know it because I have this conversation all the time, but it just makes me so sad all the time because I just moved literally 29 days ago. We moved into our house. In 2 days, I'm going to be on a plane and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I am here just trying to cram as much stuff as I can into the smallest space of time available. And in that, I know that I'm not as aware as I normally am. I'm not as present as I normally am. And I feel that in my body now. I feel the disconnection with what's going on right here, right now. And it makes me sad that so much of the world is walking around disconnected.
I mean, I take a walk every morning. And when I don't take a walk, I like just walk around in my backyard if I can't like go to the park that I go to. And I've been doing this. It started with my Artist Way journey. I started doing it. It was my date that I would go on because I was like, I don't have 2 hours, ma'am. I don't know. I know this book is 30 years old or whatever, 40 years old. And she's like, 2 hour date. I'm like, 2 hour date? If I get 30 minutes, we have won. Okay. So I basically started taking these walks as like, okay, just 30 minutes every day, see what you can do. I don't even think I started 30. I think I started 15. And then it became more like, and so I'd say for the past 5-6 months, it's been my time to ground, to think, I don't listen to any music. I don't audiobook and podcast because, we love to multitask. We're always out here trying to, how much can I do? And it's like, actually do nothing. Just walking is enough. And so I do that, and it sets my whole day of like, doesn't matter what else happens today. I like took time for myself. I connected with nature. I connected with the divine. I connected with the the wildlife in that park is amazing. If it's not crows, it's coyote. If it's not bunnies, it's ground squirrels. Like there's just a whole little, I feel like I'm Snow White in there. Okay. And it's one of those situations where you're just like, if I don't do that every day, I start to become a little like edgier. I become a little more not the nice person that I know I can be. And so fine, I tell people whatever that ritual is that you do for yourself in the morning or in the day or at night, just find that time, because if you can't show up for yourself, you can't show up for anybody else.
And I feel like we've grown up hearing that, but we keep forgetting it as humans. So, I mean, I know that we could continue this conversation all day. I know the three of us have this conversation a lot in our lives. I would love to know kind of what are those moments in this conversation that we've had up to this point that we want to highlight or underline or circle to really make sure the listeners are taking with them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what I tell my clients, just people that I work with, my family, friends, it really is just take the time for yourself to connect. And again, that looks different for everyone. Find your special sauce, your thing that you need, but just take the time to connect with yourself every day, because I wake up and it's gratitude. Like, I'm here. Thank you. Gratitude. Just saying that. And then, then you can, Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump out the bed and do the things. But it's up to you to really just start with yourself and start there. It's harder, I think, when you have competing priorities, kids, all the things, certain times a year are busier. I do get that. Don't beat yourself up about it. Like, grace always. We're still human. Nothing is perfect. Perfection is a lie. But definitely make an effort to just take some time for yourself to do something to remind yourself that you matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add on to that, Garland. this permission almost to be childlike, right?
Yes.
To be curious, to be in that growth mindset, to be a beginner again at something, at anything.
Yes.
And when we can, right, put ourselves in that spot, it just so much opens up both inside and around us. So yeah, absolutely. I love that. That whole like that child, like permission to be a child. Like I want to go find a snail, right? And just like really check out that snail. But it's those things that bring us back to ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that place of curiosity and being in our bodies, right? We talked about it early on in the conversation about the wisdom that our bodies have and how we bring that out when we're feeling our way through things, right? When we step into a new space and we feel a little nervous, but we go, okay, I can be with this nervousness. Let me be curious about what's here. And we take that next step and we take the next step and we take the next step, but we're listening to our bodies the whole time because our bodies will tell us even when we're nervous, there's excitement in there.
100%.
Versus the nervous of like, I'm scared and I'm in danger.
100%.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely a beautiful conversation. Garland, if our listener wanted to connect with you and continue having beautiful conversations, where can they find you?
They can find me www.garlandfuller.com. Very simple. Also all over the socials. So you can find me, of course, on LinkedIn. That's, I think, where I started to be more present and talk to people. But I'm also on Instagram. And if you want my hot takes, unscripted, very ugly, go to TikTok.
Love that. And of course, all the links are found in the show notes. So we're excited to be able to share those with the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for a divine conversation, both of you. It was a beautiful way to launch into the week, for sure.
Thank you so much.
All
Thanks,
right, take
Garland.
care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
And that's all for this week's episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. We hope today's episode has sparked something within you. Remember, we're all on this journey together. If something did resonate with you today, why not share it with a friend who might need to hear it too? You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review. Your feedback not only helps others find the show, but also helps us understand what's most valuable to you. Until next time, be kind to yourself, stay curious, and remember, we're walking right alongside you. Thanks for being part of our community.